And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Turn on the tube, where I see a whole lot of people crying, don't blame me. They point their crooked little fingers at everybody else. Spend all the time feeling sorry for themselves. Victim of this, victim of that. Your mama's too thin and your daddy's too fat.
Get over it, get over it, do something about it. Don't sit on your butt. Well, let me tell you who's doing something about it. Sister Nick, Glenn Jacobs, he's having he writes about it, he talks about it, he travels the country, travels the world, in fact. That's another thing. I want to give you an opportunity to, take a swipe at the TSA. How's that working out?
It's status quo, man, status quo. I'll tell you something, though, it's pretty interesting. The other day I was flying out of Canada, and I was about to get in the line. I didn't realize it. I thought they had a body scanner there. And I was about to get in that line because I thought it was roped off. And at the last second, I'm like, oh, that one's open. And the security guy goes, no, you don't want to go through that line. That's the body scanner. Go over there to the metal detectors. And I was like,
thank you.
Wow, how awesome. But, yeah, it's status quo. And that's going to be, what they did was they've just backed off. But now they're going to incrementally go the way they're going to go anyway.
Oh, it's going to go to...
Eventually they have body scanners everywhere, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Oh. There was a line in the State of the Union address by Obama, yes. And he said, well, you need to... I read it, in the preparation for a thing I was doing, and I didn't watch it, but I couldn't stand that droning on really slow. So I read it real quick, and in there it had a thing about... high-speed rail, want everybody to have high-speed rail access where, they won't be doing any pat-downs, tee-hee-hee-hee-hee. And I'm like, what are you, stupid? Of course they're going to be doing, scanners and pat-downs and everything.
Not only that, Ernie, but here's the President of the United States, supposedly, the leader of the government. Many people consider him the leader of the country. But in any case, he's poking fun and making a joke at an issue that a lot of us take very seriously. And I thought that when this country was founded, one of the premises was that all men are created equal, meaning that all men are equals under the law. But then we find out that isn't the case at all. If you're a high-ranking government official, the same rules that apply to you and I don't apply to them.
And what kind of impact does that have on people's mindset? And how should we respond? I mean, that's one thing I want to get into before the end of the show is what's your method of what's next? We got Generation Next that's going to, sooner or later, they're going to understand that they're just going to be slaves. And they're going to say, I vote no. So, and how do they manifest that preference? And how do you think they should?
Well, I think that a lot of it's up to what you and I are doing as far as trying to educate people. Before we went to break, we were talking about what could happen in the Middle East. And I think that we can look back at history to some extent and contrast the American Revolution with the French Revolution. And the American Revolution, a lot of it was based upon libertarian themes. And Thomas Paine tapped into that. And it was, to a major extent, a libertarian revolution. And then, of course, Alexander Hamilton and the Constitution sort of hijacked all that. But still, even then, they were forced to adopt the Bill of Rights to the Constitution. And people demanded certain things and were able to exert that influence. Contrast that with the French Revolution, which was also a revolutionary event, in which the people were tired of their government, but it was based on things like democracy and social equality, or not social equality, but social justice, which is material equality. And that's one of the things that bothers me out of the rhetoric that I'm hearing out of the people in Egypt is they have the same things as democracy and social justice. And they should be concentrating on liberty and freedom. And as you often say, the idea that people should be left alone so long as they're not hurting their neighbor. And if they're engaged in consensual and voluntary acts with their neighbor, they should be left alone. And then we can really all get along.
I just want to not get too complicated, because if you can't put it on a bumper sticker, then you're just BSing, okay?
Right.
And, if you're going to certainly try to translate a concept into a very, very foreign language, because Arabic has its own history, its own syntax, its own, heck, they write the left, man. I mean, this is a totally different way of communicating, and we're so used to doing it in more, Germanic or Latin-based or Slavic-based language, and they've got their own differences too, but, Latin-based languages like, English and Spanish and so on, and even French, and I'm going, you translate something over into Arabic, man, you're rolling the dice. So it needs to be something very simple. And you have a flower, a revolutionary guy throwing a bouquet of flowers instead of a Molotov cocktail, and it says, "We know the truth," or "Where is the love," or something, real basic but simple like that. Then you have a stick animation from the philosophy of liberty about self-ownership and that.
Yeah, and I think that's a great tool, because once people realize, hey, you own yourself. Once you realize that, that's a paradigm change. That changes how you look at the world, and that changes how you think that you should interact with other people, and that also changes, how you view political power. And that really is. I show the philosophy of liberty to people all the time when they want to understand what libertarianism is all about.
I think that's enormously powerful. And I tell you, Ken Schoolin said, look, to get this done quickly, we're going to have to give these volunteers that have been working on it for a year, some kind of incentive, maybe $1,000 to do it. I said, well, I'm good for a third. Okay. I'll put in my 333, here, let's go. Let's go. And then when I get to do what I want with it, I don't want to hear none whining. Okay. So they're like, okay, yeah, we're on it. So they're working on it and hopefully have it done, by the end of this week, I hope, and we'll see how this drags out. But as time goes on, I'm starting to see that, it's a very ripe opportunity to go basic. It's like, can you translate the Declaration of Independence, not the Constitution, not the Bill of Rights, not any, this other kind of asking permission and we want piece of paper, give us rights kind of crap, and, this plantation thing that they created. And no. I want to get to the Declaration of Independence. You do that in Arabic. I mean, even a rough translate, hit the Google button, and you can do that on Freedom's Phoenix. You can go and hit Google Translate, and boom, the whole thing's translated. It's done. So I wonder how that would translate. Well, that's why you need to keep it really, really simple. Like you're saying, if they understand the concept of self-ownership, what kind of ramifications does that have for an entirely new generation next? I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. In fact, I have 50,000 blank DVDs that I can't think of a better use than to expand the Lovolution worldwide. And I'm going, we're working with ISIL and the Libertarian Party. They're, they move with the speed of the Libertarian Party, but, we'll try and get them kicking and screaming into, let's spread this Lovolution. Because you have a 14-year-old that comes away with the concept that, I kind of own me, man. I vote that, So, what happens then? I don't know. What do you think would happen when that concept starts to infect the Arabic community?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about the culture there to know. And who knows? The thing about it, though, is they've probably never actually been exposed to that very simple concept. I know I wasn't. When I first discovered libertarianism, I looked at the issues. Okay, I agree with libertarians on this. I agree with them on that. On this, I don't know about. But I'm more in agreement with libertarians on these issues than I am with Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, whatever. Then, though, I discovered that concept of self-ownership. It's a very simple concept, and if you think about it, it should be self-evident, even though it isn't. Once you discover that, though, you go, oh, and the light bulb goes off, and everything changes. I don't know what's going to happen, but it'd be very interesting to find out.
It changes everything, like the movie Inception kind of pointed out. I'm going to make a point with that when we come back. You stay right there, and I'll be talking about that. What happens when you get them at the base of their personality? We'll be right back.